So buckle up because the Ashlee Jenae and Joe McCann mess just hit a whole new level of toxic. Zanzibar's top investigators and locals are spilling major tea, and the receipts are piling up fast. Most of these bombshells are dropping in Swahili from folks on the scene. Don't sweat it though, I've translated everything perfectly so not a single scandalous detail gets lost in translation. Grab your popcorn because this drama is absolutely unhinged. Records prove Ashlee Jenae and Joe McCann were at each other's throats the minute they touched down in paradise. We aren't talking petty bickering. This was high-stakes warfare simmering from the very first hour. And it gets even shadier. Joe McCann wasn't acting like your typical clueless tourist lost at a fancy resort. He was navigating the island like a man with a hidden agenda and deep roots. This is where the plot thickens and the side eyes began. Rumor has it Joe McCann would ditch Ashlee Jenae at the villa for ages, while locals claim he was busy entertaining other women nearby. That betrayal sent their blowout fights into overdrive. Now, witnesses are coming forward describing just how miserable Ashlee Jenae appeared. One insider claimed he'd vanish for hours, then stroll back and acting completely oblivious, which obviously made the friction even more explosive. The rabbit hole goes deeper too. Joe McCann allegedly had a shady business contact in Zanzibar who's officially been hauled in for questioning, leaving everyone wondering what was actually happening in the dark. Furthermore, whispers are circulating that a prized possession of Ashlee Jenae, her engagement ring, surfaced under some very sketchy circumstances, adding massive layers of dread to this disaster. Check this out. The official timeline and police report are practically ghosting the internet right now. That's why this scoop is so incredibly wild. But after hunting through local leads, I tracked down the gritty details from Zanzibar outlet. According to the lead investigator, they've finally started assembling a chillingly precise play-by-play of the night. Here's where the schedule turns dark and deadly serious. Authorities confirmed Joe McCann and Ashlee Jenae moved into Missouri Hotel Villa 25, planning to stay through April 10th, 2026. On the surface, it looked like goals. Behind closed doors, it was a total nightmare. Per the director of investigations, that couple tension was way more than just loud words. It became so violent and deafening that the neighbor in Villa 24 literally had to intervene and summon hotel security. Just picture that chaos. Things reached such a breaking point that total strangers had to rescue them from themselves. That is exactly when management decided to split them up before someone got hurt. Here is the kicker on how they moved. Joe McCann was booted from Villa 25 and banished to Villa 65, which is a solid 10-minute trek from where Ashlee Jenae was left alone. So, they were physically separated, but the energy was still radiating pure disaster. Now, lean in and focus on this specific detail, because it is a total game changer. Right at 7:30 p.m. on that fateful night, a hotel staffer was making his standard rounds when the plot thickened. He swung by Villa 25 to check on Ashlee Jenae, where she casually requested a phone charger. Seems like a basic ask, right? But in a twisted story like this, every tiny moment is a potential smoking gun. That brief chat might look irrelevant, but detectives are now dissecting every second of that interaction. This is exactly where the narrative takes a dark, messy, and totally baffling turn. The worker handed Ashlee Jenae the charger as requested, then moved along to Villas 24 and 26 to finish his shift duties. However, before he walked away, Ashlee Jenae told him to swing back in 10 minutes to grab the cord. That specific timing is crucial. Per the criminal investigation lead, the schedule didn't go according to the script. Instead of the 10-minute mark, the staffer actually returned about 20 minutes later. When he reached Villa 25, he pounded on the door, but was met with haunting silence. Even weirder, every single light inside had been killed, which sent immediate red flags through the air. Think about it. He expected her to be standing there ready to return his property. So, when the silence became deafening, he knew he had to break protocol and move fast. Grabbing his master key, he shoved the door open to investigate the darkness. What he stumbled upon was a scene of pure, unadulterated horror. Inside that villa, Ashlee Jenae was in a life-or-death crisis involving a bathrobe belt tied to the closet. Per the official report, she was still hanging on but clearly losing the fight, making the scene a chaotic race against time. The worker didn't miss a beat. He screamed for backup to get medical eyes on her immediately. The team scrambled to react, and Ashlee Jenae was rushed to a local ER for desperate treatment. After the first attempt to save her, she was transferred to a specialist facility. Yet, despite the hustle, she tragically slipped away the next day at 3 p.m., leaving a trail of shockwaves through the community. Now, this is the point where the math stops adding up and the internet is calling major foul play. So, we know the worker handed Ashlee Jenae his charger, right? Maybe he mentioned his shift was ending, which is why she suggested a quick 10-minute return. On the surface, that sounds like a logical, innocent explanation for the timeline. But then, a much shadier narrative started leaking from the Zanzibar locals, flipping the entire script on its head. People on the street are whispering that Joe McCann wasn't some random tourist on his first trip. He actually knew the island like the back of his hand. Not only that, but rumors suggest he was tight with the resort staff, which is suspicious as hell. Because of those connections, people are now side-eyeing the official timeline being fed to the public. Just look at the optics. Management claims Joe McCann was tucked away in a villa 10 minutes away, conveniently creating distance from Ashlee Jenae. Then you have this tiny, convenient window where the worker leaves and returns just in time for the discovery. When you stack those facts, the sequence looks incredibly cramped. That is exactly why the comment sections are exploding right now. Some are asking if the story was tailored to ensure Joe McCann couldn't possibly be near Villa 25. It feels way too clean, like a puzzle where every piece was forced into place to kill any chance of overlap. Despite the chaos, staying grounded is key. We're currently looking at heavy claims and local perspectives, not final courtroom verdicts. However, it's crystal clear why the public is side-eyeing the situation, especially with Joe McCann being so cozy with the local environment and its people. This next chapter is what has the internet losing its collective mind. Local insiders are whispering that because Joe McCann was so familiar with Zanzibar, he knew exactly how to pull strings behind scenes. When folks say that, they're hinting he knew how to navigate difficulties in ways a regular tourist never could. There's even chatter that certain local systems can be persuaded, leading many to question if that familiarity gave him an unfair advantage when things turn south. That angle has completely flipped the script for anyone watching the big picture, especially since he was far from a stranger in paradise. And the plot thickens even further. Fresh reports indicate that authorities have hauled in about 10 individuals for questioning, including hotel staff and a specific friend of Joe McCann who just happened to be in Zanzibar at the same time. That detail alone is raising massive red flags because it proves just how deep his connections ran during the trip. People are also clocking how remarkably comfortable Joe McCann seemed in that setting. The fact that he had local ties, knew the right people, and even had his own squad visiting from abroad makes this entire tragedy feel layered and suspicious. Meanwhile, another detail is leaving the public absolutely fuming. The family of Ashlee Jenae is still being ghosted regarding the autopsy results. Even though sources say the medical exam is done, the delay is sparking a firestorm online, with everyone demanding to know why the truth is being gatekept. Between the suspicious connections, the mass questioning, and the silence facing the family, the narrative is becoming incredibly murky. This next part is where the heart truly breaks. The father of Ashlee Jenae actually had to fly to Washington, D.C. just to beg U.S. officials to step in and bridge the communication gap with Tanzania. Even with that high-level pressure, the updates on the investigation are still moving at a snail's pace. That delay has people asking the real questions. What is taking so long? The internet is spiraling, wondering why vital details are being buried when the case has already gone this far. It's a breeding ground for frustration and wild theories because, from the outside, the puzzle is clearly missing its most important pieces. But that's not the only mystery being picked apart. Everyone wants to know what actually ignited those explosive fights between Ashlee Jenae and Joe McCann. Now, a Zanzibar source claims those arguments were fueled by Joe McCann's alleged behavior. The word on the street is that he would ditch the villa to link up with other women in the area, creating a toxic cycle of tension. And the drama didn't stay behind closed doors. Reports claim one blowout even spilled into the resort's reception area in front of everyone. Allegedly, another man showed interest in Ashlee Jenae, which sent the situation sideways. Joe McCann reportedly lost it, and Ashlee Jenae clapped back by exposing his own shady actions, leading to a public shouting match that left witnesses stunned. That constant friction seems to have been the dark cloud over the entire trip. And while those fights explain the heat, they don't explain the tragic ending. That is the missing link people are desperate to find. Adding even more weight to the theory, a close friend of Ashlee Jenae has now entered the chat, revealing what the influencer confessed before the flight even took off. Per her friend, Ashlee Jenae was paralyzed with fear and already plotting her exit due to their toxic fights and deep-seated issues. When you connect the dots, the pre-trip dread, his alleged wandering eye in Zanzibar, and the tragic aftermath, it paints a narrative far more sinister than the initial headlines. This next update cranks the tension to the max, coming straight from the inner circle of Ashlee Jenae. According to this source, she was desperate to leave but terrified of how Joe McCann would react. The friend labeled him as intense, which kept her trapped and hesitant to make a move. Digging into the archives, some massive red flag from the past of Joe McCann are resurfacing. A 2018 article about his first marriage is sending shockwaves through the internet. His ex-wife called her wedding day the toughest decision she ever made. Let that sink in for a minute. Most brides are glowing, so hearing it framed as a struggle is a total red flag. It gets weirder. During that ceremony, the bride walked the aisle solo because her own father refused to stand by her. That is a rare public snub that has everyone questioning what went down behind the curtain. Why would a father ghost his daughter's biggest moment? Theories are flying that he had major bad vibes about Joe McCann even back then. Of course, it's all speculation, but it's a glaring detail when you look at the current tragedy. There are even whispers that Joe McCann manipulated that moment, pushing her to walk alone. As she did, she reportedly claimed he'd made her promises, which looks absolutely chilling through today's lens. When you stack these historical receipts against the experience of Ashlee Jenae, a disturbing pattern starts to emerge for online sleuths. Now, this next part is a total gut punch because it highlights a promise that aged like milk. During that 2018 wedding, Joe McCann allegedly vowed to his ex, "You will never have to walk alone in life again." Sounds romantic, right? Fast forward to 2021, and he had vanished from the marriage while she was pregnant with their second baby. That cold betrayal has everyone viewing his current grief with a side of extreme skepticism. Claims are surfacing that the previous relationship was also packed with high-intensity drama, leading many to link those past red flags to the fate of Ashlee Jenae. The internet is busy connecting the dots, with many convinced Joe McCann was the architect of the chaos. Still, we have to remember these are ongoing discussions and allegations, not a final verdict. Shifting back to the scene, investigators report zero signs of forced entry into the room of Ashlee Jenae. That specific detail is a game changer because it locks the focus on what happened behind closed doors. Then there's the mystery of the engagement ring, and this is where things get truly bizarre. Reports suggest the ring was discovered inside a rental car parked near the hotel grounds. What makes it even more suspicious is that the jewelry allegedly had unusual marks, forcing investigators to treat it as a key piece of evidence. Forensic teams are now analyzing that ring to see who those marks belong to and how it ended up ditched in a car. This discovery has completely shifted the energy of the investigation, leaving everyone wondering if the ring holds the final secret to what happened that night. It's a puzzle that keeps getting messy, and the public is demanding to know if this was a tragic accident or something much more calculated. That ring was shipped off for forensic testing to pinpoint where those marks originated and whose DNA is all over them. To be totally real, this specific lead hasn't been 100% verified by all officials yet, so we're keeping a close eye on the lab results. We also need to debunk a major piece of misinformation that's rotting everyone's brain on social media right now. People are out here tagging the wrong resort, claiming Ashlee Jenae was at that Lion Hotel you've seen all over your FYP. That viral rumor about the Lion Resort is total fiction. That place is in a completely different city in Tanzania, nowhere near Zanzibar where this tragedy actually went down. That fake news spread like wildfire, but it's factually dead wrong. Actually, the Serval Wildlife team had to step in and shut down the rumors themselves. They posted a public statement saying they were devastated by the news, but clarified that Ashlee Jenae was glowing and happy during her stay with them. They made it incredibly clear that when she checked out of their property, she was in perfect health and a great headspace. Furthermore, they emphasized that the incident didn't happen on their watch, and they have zero tea on what went down after she left or who she was hanging with. They're literally begging people to stick to official updates, which is exactly what we're trying to do here. Now, zooming back into Zanzibar, the tension between Ashlee Jenae and Joe McCann was clearly at a boiling point. Locals are doubling down on the fact that he was way too comfortable in that area, fueling the fire about how easily he could move through the shadows. The allegations that he would ditch her at the villa to go chase other women are still swirling everywhere. Most people believe that betrayal pushed the emotional stakes to a breaking point, especially since they were literally celebrating their engagement. It's a total mess. Right now, the million-dollar question remains: what actually caused the death of Ashlee Jenae? And was there a third party in that room? We're all sitting on our hands waiting for the official autopsy and police findings. But this radio silence is just giving the internet more room to speculate. At this stage, the world is waiting on Tanzania to drop the real receipts so we can finally get some closure on this nightmare. I need to know your take on this. What's your theory on how this is playing out? Sound off in the comments below and share this video so the truth doesn't get buried.